one of those things may need to be, what do you call it? Wait, that's not a cop.
Hey, he's a good man. That's a good man.
Oh, it is a cop. How you doing, Barrett?
Howdy.
So you're in a stolen vehicle there for a second.
Barrett. No, definitely one of our marshal cars. Marshal Barrett, State Marshal's office.
How you
Can
doing,
get your ID
Barrett?
real quick, please.
Absolutely. There you go.
Hey, you need no reason for the stop. Whenever you came off there doing 57 miles an hour off that turn, that left turn there, you rolled right through that red light without stopping.
Very possible.
Very definitive. I
Yep.
gotta turn this thing off. That's
right,
county
let me just
problem,
turn this
not my
off.
problem.
Yeah.
Thank you. Hey, could you flash that for me one more time real quick? I
Yep.
didn't get a
There you
good close
go.
look at it.
Boom,
Thank you, buddy. And do you need to see mine or anything like that again?
Yeah. Did you just cough on my driver's license, brother?
No, I coughed into my hand.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure there for a second.
You're
All right.
good, buddy. All right.
All right.
Hey, that's the reason for the stop.
Yeah.
Any reason for it, buddy?
Yeah.
Just cruising. Let me guess. Is that Michael in there with you?
Yeah,
Yes, we are
Let me guess.
cooking.
Yapper session.
We are discussing the future. Well, I saw your text message, so you've probably seen some of the things. And we are discussing how the future of legislation can look like. And what we're mulling right now is, if you think, okay, so we got like what, 80 plus piece of legislation, right? But like a big segment of it is the constitutional justification. Now,
Right.
in theory, we and what we want to do is condense it down to criminal codes like robbery, big categories. But we want a general standard format, right? So it doesn't become, oh, look at, legislation 56, whatever it is, and then there's no like good reference point. Instead, we need to define out what is an article, what is a section, what is, and so that there's sort of a general standard format such that, let's say just hypothetically in this traffic stop, I was like, officer, according to, the, traffic law article 1, section 3, part 4 or whatever the fuck, government officials can roll through. Obviously that's not the case, but like, it's like, oh, boom. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, exactly. You have an articulatable actual path to identify something instead of going, hey, so go open up the
Jessica,
legislation
thank you for
and
6
search
months.
for traffic, and about 17 ones down, there's one that says Los Santos traffic, but not the one with a plural at the end of it, the one that's just singular,
Exactly.
because there's 2 of them. And you open that up, and there's 16 paragraphs. So you're going to go about 5. You're going to find the section that says moving violations. It's like halfway down, and then 3 paragraphs in, the second line in there says this.
Exactly. Now, let's cook even further, right? With the recent rulings, obviously there's going to be some discussion around penal codes. And as you've seen with some of the stuff like with Sama, for example, right? The penal code is like sitting inside of that piece of legislation. So I went on to cooking, and I'm like, we actually are doing something. I think there was an attempt. We're learning, right? Collectively.
Right.
I think one thing that was done, which now should be, I think, revisited, is that we've unintentionally sort of mixed bills we've turned these pieces of legislation to bills as well as legislative articles, right?
Right.
And a better route that we should consider is that legislative authorities put forward bills. So, for example, something needs to, like, for example, I'm like, hey, government officials should be able to roll traffic lights. We should be pushing forward bill number 365, government, whatever. In there is a constitutional justification. In there is a da-da-da-da.
Yes.
In there is the proposed penal code change. And then in the actual legislative article, you would add that one line, which would be in the bill, right? Here's what's going to be changing in the legislation. And then so in that piece of legislation, it's that one line, and it references bill number, 413, 2025 or whatever. You know what I mean? And so
at the bottom of your code, you would list, this was amended by this past bill. And the bill itself would say, hey, this is a bill to amend the San Andreas Traffic Code, Section 3, which currently says this, and it is to be amended to say this. This is my justification. This is the summary. This is the research, the general ideas, the reasons, and everything behind it. So that way, whenever it gets passed, you go to the code of law, and you're like, oh, this was last amended on this date. We can tell, whenever I'm researching a criminal case, I was looking into that. I was researching this because I was investigating, because I thought, hey, this guy, I found out this guy performed this action like 2 weeks ago, but come to find out, it's only been illegal for a week. And so I can't actually charge him with that because it wasn't illegal when he committed the crime. But you can also go back and be like, hey, why did they make that? Why did they make that change?
Exactly.
Well, look at that reference, go back and see, oh man, here's the justification. Here's where they talked about this, the discussions that the legislative bodies had where they discussed why to change this. And you can figure out why we did things the way we did. Because I'll tell you, a lot of things are changed with no one having any idea why we changed them.
Exactly. Yes. Boom. Now, some of it is, right? Like, so let's use an example like the flight shit, right? Give me a sec. Or actually, let me just pull one that I can search without. So you got capital sentence pardon, right? And it says, this act grants the elected mayor, right? That introduction to each one of these things is why we're doing it, right? But the problem is we're not really going to update that when we update it again, right? Or even when we condense, like, let's say 30 of these into a single, like, robberies umbrella, it's going to lose all of that information. So let's migrate this to bills. I think the more we talk about this, Michael, the more I'm like, this is how it should be done. Everyone knows the history.
For months.
Yeah,
that's what I've been telling y'all for since January. This is literally what remember I brought you this whole thing in January.
Oh, I remember. I agree. Yeah, I agree.
Damn, it's almost like Barrett actually kind of has some ideas every once in a while.
Hey, I've never shot him down. I think back then I was on that same line of thinking. The problem was the red tape. But Barrett, that red tape is being cut, and common sense is now sitting at the forefront, It's
being slashed to pieces.
Yeah, so.
Failure to obey traffic control devices is a $500 fine at one point on your license.
Yep, understood.
Have that amount billed directly to your state account immediately. If you wish to contest these charges, bring it to a lawyer or judge within 15 days to get the traffic court. They'll plead your case. They'll read my report. If they want to find you not guilty or dismiss the charges for whatever reason, they'll refund the amount back to your state account and take away that point from your license.
Beautiful. What is my points at? Just out of curiosity.
You are currently at. Sorry, I had to jump just a second.
I'm gonna guess 3.
5.
Oh shit! Really? Oh,
pretty sure they're all from me.
Probably. No, I don't think so. Wait, don't wait. How long until they? Has anyone else
actually pulled you? 30 days.
Oh, brother. Wait. Something that I've been meaning to speak to you about. I tried calling yesterday.
How about we conclude the traffic stop and we pull over to the side or something? So
yes.
We get out of traffic.
Let's do Crystal Casino.
Yeah, right there.
Yep.
Yeah,
all right.
Sure.
All right.
This is going to be a fun chat for you.
Oh my God.
Let me know how it goes. I'll
absolutely.
I'm going to run out. We'll catch up.
You take out.
Ciao. I got to run, Barrett. Can't stick around, but we'll catch up later.
All right.
No
Good seeing you.
This is the old CVPI, isn't it?
So this is a Marshall exclusive car. It's the
Standards. Oh shit!
We have 6 of these in our fleet.
All right.
This is the only one that has a push bumper on it. The rest of them are completely clean.
Yeah.
And mostly black. We just had this one because as a test vehicle to see.
Yeah.
What we wanted to do with this.
Understood. Hey, give me a second. I'm just gonna go grab some cigarettes real quick, and I'll be right back. Unless you got one. Do you got a cigarette?
No, I don't smoke.
I got you. All right, be right back. Oh, juicy, juicy.
Hello. How are you? I got cut by my own knitting needle last night.
I come back, he's dead.
You like this horrendous trench coat?
It looks pretty decent, to be honest.
So what's up?
That house that went up in flames.
Yeah, the one behind my house, behind me.
Well, it turns out my my niece lives there.
Oh shit, she okay?
She is. Yeah, she was. I believe she was away when everything went down. So I found out about it the next day or that evening. I every day mixes at this point, you know, with all the shit going on. Not blood niece, more like you know, someone I consider a niece, you know.
Yeah.
And so I hear about this, and I'm like, hey, you know, if there's anything you can do, is there anything that I can do? And she says, oh, you know, you can bring me some bricks. You know what I mean? Like 5 bricks or something, because it was marked for condemnation or whatever. Like, you know, like it's like
to be condemned.
Yeah, to be condemned, exactly. And so she's like trying to get it rebuilt, and I'm like, all right, like, you know, obviously I got to do something to help. And so, you know, I call Sab, who is, you know, he's in the construction space, right? Like, he knows people that can get a hold of wood and all kinds of things, you know.
He knows a guy who knows a guy.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, he knows a guy that knows a guy. He's in construction. In fact, I've previously called him up to install the motor signs in Mission Row PD. Excuse me, that wasn't me. I got a email from Sergeant Knight, who had you know, the bike only signs installed, because I guess, you know, cops used to park VAF vehicles on top of the bike spot. So anyways, he's been doing construction for a minute, so I gave him a call, and I'm like, hey, you know, I'm looking to get some like bricks and shit for you know, helping Eve out. And he comes on down and says, yeah, I can help with that. And the first thing I tell him, because Sab's got a record, right? I don't fucking know what, you know, he gets into shit, right? And my first thought is, and I'm just going to be plain, I'm like, listen, you're Cypress, you're always targeted. If you got anything, just do not have it with me, right? Because I'm not going to risk being in a car with someone that God knows what they, you know what I'm saying? Like, so
yeah,
whatever. Well, premonition is crazy.
You ask Sab for brick, and you know, who knows if he's going to show up with fucking motor, or he's going to show up with cocaine.
Exactly. So, you know, premonition must have been crazy, because, you know, he picks me up from Mission Row. And the first thing we notice is like, oh fuck, like we need like a truck or something. So we go grab my bison over at Alta Street, and at this point, by the way, I was shot earlier, about an hour or two earlier to this, by law enforcement, by accident. Not the end of the world. I was gaslit into believing that it was my fault. I got whatever, right? Like that's been handled. But I was in no shape to be lifting anything. So he got some of his friends and they got in the Bison. We at this point I want to say, because I don't really know him too well, the driver now was a guy named Jonah, I want to say, and I only say this because when I dug into it later, I think the name Jonah was used, so I could be wrong about who the driver was exactly. But anyways, we go get the shit, right? Get some bricks, get some cement, get it all into the truck, whatever, and we go to Strawberry gas station. Vehicle is off. Vehicle's being refueled. We're about to be on our way to Polito, and these fantastic folks are gonna help lift it out of the truck and everything, right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I notice a BCSO Interceptor. 30 seconds, minute, 2 minutes have passed. Interceptor comes around, parks on Elgin, right? Now, so now it's like parallel to our vehicle. And then it circles around the front of the car, like kind of looking, turns on its lights and sirens, and then immediately calls for backup. Those two vehicles that show up, one, it turns out to be Gitlin, the third officer, unknown. And they set up to what looked to be like a felony stop. And my initial thought is like, oh my God, does this motherfucker have like a warrant or some shit? Like I'm over here trying to help my niece. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm risk averse, right? Like, yeah. I'm not trying to, get up on the tabloids because this construction worker's got like a fucking warrant or some shit. Well, I kind of wish that was the case because of what proceeded. Because at least then it would make sense. So just to once again paint the picture is that this Interceptor pulls in front, like must have seen that the vehicle is there from afar, came up, circled from the front, gets in the back, lights and sirens on, attempting to conduct a traffic stop on a off the vehicle being refueled, and these two other cars are like in what looks to be like a felony position, right? One is directly to the side of the car. The other one is like behind the Interceptor by quite a bit. Officer or Deputy Quangle gets out of the vehicle, approaches the driver. I'm remaining silent because at this point, I'm openly in my mind. I'm like, well, here it is. There's Cypress. Like I said this to Sam. Right? It's in the back of my head. I've seen shit over the past couple months. Right? It's and yeah, does Cypress do shit? 100%. Right? These motherfuckers. A lot of these guys are felons. But
right.
just I noticed that there's a increased interest in them. It's a pattern I've seen for a minute. But whatever. Whether I'm right or wrong, that's what I'm thinking in the back of my mind. And even further than that, I'm also curious. They don't know I'm in the back cabin. I want to see how population is treated, right? And so I'm observing. I'm remaining silent. And what I witnessed was ridiculous. Deputy Quangle comes up to the window and he goes, well, sir, I need your driver license, whatever. Ask for it. Fine. And the driver, which I'm assuming it's Jonah, states, oh, what did I do? Sorry, let me roll back. Quangle, before getting out of the vehicle, told everybody to get back in. So he never saw them even get out. He's only witnessed a refuel, and he's telling them to get in the vehicle. Get back in the vehicle. Right? So, and then he approaches, and he asks for the driver's license, and Jonah, rightfully confused, asks, what did I do wrong? Did we do something? And he goes, your taillight is broken. I'm like, what the fuck?
That's not against the law.
Yep. And I'm still, and he goes, whose vehicle is this? And so Jonah goes, oh, it's Sab's. Because he thought it was Sab's. He wasn't there when I pulled out the vehicle. And Sab goes, oh, no, it's not mine. It's Nino's. Right? And he goes, do you have permission? And he goes, yeah, he's sitting in the back. Now, mind you, I'd whispered, do not, like, I had wished they didn't mention it was my name or whatever and just let it play out. And I've got reasons for that.
Yeah.
Once again, observation, right? And so what then proceeds to happen is he goes back, it comes back, and he goes, yep, he goes, wait, what do you mean a taillight? Like, it's not, is that illegal? He's like, well, your back is, the back bit of the truck is also broken. And I'm thinking, what the fuck?
But that's also not illegal.
Yeah. And I say to him, I'm like, Quangle, that none of those things are charges. And he goes, well, sir, I need you to quiet down. And I'm like, sir, I'm being detained. And I'm trying to understand, what the fuck is he pulled over for? What's the reason for the traffic stop? He goes, sir, I need you to quiet. I'm talking to the driver. Completely, uninterested. He then says that it's negligent driving, which now I'm even more perplexed because he has only witnessed a vehicle being refueled. Exactly. And now I'm getting heated. I'm like, telling him, like, brother, you didn't even see it. What do you mean negligent driving? Like, what's the He's like, sir, I need to be quiet. He starts saying other charges. At this point, it's very clear he's just pulled over the vehicle for God knows what fucking reason, right? And he's searching for something. And what that searching is or what the reason is unknown. All at this point, this is an illegal traffic stop and illegal detainment as far as I'm concerned. And
there's literally a charge for that.
Yes. For what?
For doing an illegal detainment of, like, in a traffic stop without cause.
Yes.
It's a felony charge.
Oh, absolutely. He goes back to his vehicle. Oh no! And before he goes back, because at this point I'm like protesting. I'm like, you cannot even tell us what this traffic stop is about. And to me now, from my lens, this looks like a attempt to what I can best describe as a way to incite a reaction, maybe cause escalation, maybe scare them to run because maybe there was something happening, right? It could be a number of things. But most importantly, none of this should be happening. And there is no reason to intimidate into searching for a crime when there is no RS even at this stage. And I'm witness to it all. Now, I don't expect any special treatment. No, I should be treated like everyone, if anything, held to a higher standard. But to do it brazenly in front of me, I look at it as like, because I can do something about it, right? I have access to changing laws. I have access to bring it up. So for me to do it so brazenly is like really genuinely not giving a fuck, right?
Yeah.
And so he goes, as I'm protesting, he says, sir, I need you to be quiet because you're now impeding my traffic stop. And he went on to make other orders. And at this stage, it appeared as though he was looking for a reason to arrest me, right? If I didn't quiet down, right? And simply asking what was the reason for the detainment. And I made it clear, I'm like, I am being detained as a consequence of being a passenger, and this is we want to know what the reason is, right? Because this shit's fishy. And he then tells the driver, listen, you've been great and all, but because of your back passenger, I was gonna let you guys go, but now now you're gonna get a ticket. He then goes back to his vehicle. And he's there for a little bit, and he comes back and he goes, sir, today I could have pulled you over for reckless endangerment, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to let you off on a warning. I told him, we want the report number. which we received, and I can give you the report number.
Oh, I have it. That's what I'm flipping through my tablet for.
Oh, perfect.
22088.
And he said, "What do you mean?" Yes, that sounds about right. He said, "What do you mean? You're not getting a ticket?" I'm like, "Yes, but you detained us, and I want a report number." Because, quite frankly, what I saw here was fucking egregious. If this is happening in front of me, the anger comes from, what if this was like another civilian, right? What if this was any number of individuals, even those that may have a felonious record? This is not safe. This is not a police officer. This is some other shit.
This is a gangster with a badge.
Yes.
Ironically, as I wear this outfit, standing here wearing a badge.
After we left the gas station, started making our way with all these things to Eve's house. I'm, chatting with the folks inside. I'm pretty fucking heated. I'm asking him, does this happen often? Like, is this normal? Like, what the fuck just happened? Like, what was this? And they're like, brother, this happens all the time. This happens every day. We're just used to it. And I'm like, what? It's like, yeah, and it's usually the same handful of people. And we won't be doing anything, and we're just getting, like, fucking harassed, like, just minding our own business. And, it's I'm not clueless on the fact that, some of these guys they've got a record, but that doesn't, they do their time. That doesn't open them up for any of that. Now, as we start to pass Route 68 underpass on Sonora Road or Sonora Highway, I start to notice, like, hey, is that... Oh, actually, even well before that, before we even hit Bolingbrook, I noticed there was an LSPD cruiser, like, tailing us. And, but I was sort of, like, unsure at this stage. Like, maybe he's just going to Paleto. Maybe he's going to 68. As we entered into Paleto and whatnot, I at this point had called up Turner, and I wanted him to, like, look into it. Like, this is what I experienced. I just want to understand, like, what the hell that was and how this is, like, appropriate. Not expecting, anything more than, like, an explanation, really. And as I'm doing this, they go, hey, what the fuck? And I look back, and Gitlin and Quangle, turns out I wasn't wrong. They fucking followed us all the way up to Paleto. And I'm telling Turner, I'm like, these motherfuckers are following, like, fucking stalking our ass all the way up here. And I'm like, look at your GPS. Look at the markers. And he verified. And understandably, Turner's just like, what the hell is going on? We pull up in front of Eve's house, pull in the vehicle to take out the things, start taking, and both of them are sitting there just watching us. And I'm just like, what the fuck is this? Is this shit? Right? Now, I thought it'd end here. I thought it was, yeah. Stalking, harassment, God fucking knows. Right? Illegal detainment. So, I brought it up to Turner, and he goes, I need you to chat with BCSO Command, and I got someone that's going to call you. Actually, he didn't say that. He didn't say that. Sorry. He said he's going to have someone look into it. That was before we arrived at Eve's house. I then receive a phone call from Romello. I hear it's Romello, and just straight up, Barrett, I hung up the phone, and I'm going to explain why. I personally do not trust his competency. He has a history, not just one of what I have witnessed, but I've heard from others, is just he sweeps things under the rug. And most dialogue is so hyper defensive, there is no attempt to understand the other side's disposition. Just wasn't interested, and I'm pissed at this point, right? I'm still heated. I don't want to endanger that conversation, me just like popping off, right? I need to cool off a little bit.
Yeah.
And I asked her, I'm like, listen, I'm not talking to Romello. I just don't trust him. The guy just disbanded TRT, just like what happened with the warden with no notice. Like, there's a lot of reasons I don't. Listen, they got fucking 20 command members. Yeah, give me somebody that I'm comfortable with. You know what I mean? and then handle it from there.
Many hype.
What happened afterwards was nothing short of the conversation apparently being more about, this is not from Turner, but for me attempting to approach other command members about why I have an issue with Romello rather than what the fuck happened, right? Like, my issue with Romello is my personal business, my personal feelings, whatever. It does not address, even in the slightest, what the hell happened. And quite frankly, Barrett, I just wanted an answer. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. I don't even need the guy fired. It's not that serious. I mean, it's serious, but it ain't like fucking, you know what I mean? This isn't some like, it turns a mountain into a molehill as a consequence of not even some semblance of accountability, right? It forces my hand to then, to take measures, because it's like, can't even get a fucking apology or acknowledgement that these things can't happen. Well, then what the fuck is left, right? Interestingly enough, about an hour later, this is right before the storm, I ran into Flops Dugong, and believe it or not, the same 4 dumb fucks ended up harassing him on similar matters. Now, whether or not that's true, I can't, Flops unprovoked, prompted, before he even heard what happened to me, Flops Rain Man tells me that Quangle,
Rain Man or Dugong?
Sorry, Rain Man from Polito.
Okay, the Mayhem.
Mayhem.
Yeah.
Yep. Had a situation with the 2 command members I do not trust to do any even remote kind of discipline, because they go right into, tell me everything that affected you so we can write it down and defend our officers instead of holding them accountable. Mr. Romello, Mr. What's his name? Brad. Oh my God.
Brad Wade or whatever.
Brad, yes.
Brad Wade? Yeah.
No, Bradford.
Bradford, yeah.
Quangle.
Wade Bradford.
And fucking oh my God, the
Wade
fucking
Bradford, Quangle, and that little crew are the same crew that after a giant 78's call with 30 officers down, where marshals grouped up and responded to it, confronted us at the hospital after the case and yelled at us, "Why did you even show up to that scene? Nobody called for the marshals." And I was like, "It was a 78's call." And he had the gall to tell me, "That's against your SOPs." Bitch, I wrote the SOPs.
Jesus fucking Christ. You know what's fucking
Which is why
crazy?
marshals don't respond to shift 2
nah.
78s anymore. It's literally, our internal policy right now is we do not respond to shift 2 78s right now.
Similar situation I heard from Mr. Hernandez. Cases of escalation. As recent as I would talk to, where the reason I'm bringing it up to your attention is I do not trust the PD to keep. This is such a. I'm bringing it to your attention in the event this is a bigger matter than it needs to be, but I have
it is
been
a bigger matter than it needs to be, and I'll tell you, I am aware of a lot of these situations, so I'm hearing you out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hearing your side of things directly, because it's one thing to hear it directly from the horse's mouth than reading it on a piece of paper.
Yeah,
because I'll tell you, we have already flagged up close to 13 different reports because we have been looking into this. And that's all. I hope it didn't seem like I was ignoring you by staring at my tablet.
No.
I'm
Of
adding
course not.
details to my internal reports from this, because this is something we're already looking at and starting to plan out sting ops about this kind of thing.
I'm very glad. Look, it was so egregious, brother. I have contemplated riding with civilians in the back seat with a camera, just to observe how law enforcement is behaving, because it just.
We are currently negotiating with a couple of gangs to borrow their cars and go undercover, where we will have one operator at the SASM office on dispatch and watching us while we are off, not signed on duty, and using these gang members' cars to drive around the city with their permission.
Holy
and
shit!
See what happens.
Yeah, that's smart. It just, how do I sit back and listen to all these problems, right? And I try to do my best to support the PD, but to see civilians just I don't know, this is causing violence. It was fucking eye-opening.
Oh, don't get me wrong. If they try to illegally detain us for a traffic stop, we are going to identify ourselves and arrest them right there for felony unlawful imprisonment.
Oh my God!
I don't care about, if you need to give them you need to be nice and professional with them and bring it to the docket. Don't arrest them right there. I do not give one solid fuck. You abuse people's rights like that, you deserve to be slapped in cuffs and thrown in a Bolingbroke right then, right there. You can appeal that shit on the docket. Suck my dick.
Let me know if you ever need to borrow my vehicle.
Yeah, you got it.
Holy shit.
I'm done playing nice with the police departments. I'm done playing nice with the Department of Justice, the police departments. All this nonsense. I've tried being friendly and being cordial and being professional for 5 fucking months. And I still get shit thrown back in my face from an era of an administration which I barely had any part in.
Yeah.
So I'm done.
Yeah. I think there's very bright times ahead. Seeing those responses on the city hall, right? I think there's a lot of people that want to build up San Andreas, and I strongly do believe that they are being empowered. And so I'm so all right.
Yeah.
One thing sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was literally just about to ramble on about the DOJ nonsense.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that came out of those responses by the governor is that, and this is something I tried to tell my office, is like, yeah, we've been fighting this for 9 months. Yeah, what most of those responses are things that we've been saying for 9 months that should have been crystal clear. Things like legislation, penal code cannot be changed. It is legislation. It must go through proper, processes. Otherwise, it is illegal. And yeah, while what the response is something that we've known and something that we have, been not advocating but reaffirming, it is now in writing, and therefore one of the biggest battles has been won, and now we can build.
Yeah.
So
Finally.
Yes,
there's still hurdles to overcome. The Department of Justice is going to fight tooth and nail. The DOJ justices, they are trying to form their oligarchy, and they are going to do everything they can to secure that oligarchy.
There is something, things are already in motion, which I don't want to currently note out loud.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, but
I will say, so I've been a very big supporter of separating the marshals from the Department of Justice, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you also know I had my interview about the director position. And as I told you, they let me record it. At the end of the interview, they did the "Do you have any questions for us?" thing. And of course, in my interview, I doubled down on the, they asked me, where do you see the marshals going? And I was like, I see the marshals being separated from the Department of Justice, being an independent entity. And so I asked the same. Where do you see the marshals going? Do you see a world where the marshals can exist as an independent entity? And their response to that was threatening to take all of our money away. Well, if they separate, they won't have a budget.
Oh,
Not
shit.
recorded.
What?
They let me record it. They know I had the recording device sitting there on the table facing directly at them.
Wait. I want you to say that one more time, because I feel like my brain couldn't comprehend this.
They, I asked them directly, do you see a world where the marshals can be a separate entity from the Department of Justice? And the very first response was Falconer, mind you. Oh, good luck on getting funding.
Who is president?
It was Falconer and White.
Oh my God.
Hey, Peters.
Hey.
Hello.
Hey.
Just coming to check on you.
Yeah.
You're right.
Just
Ignoring all those 78 calls.
Have y'all got my books yet by any chance?
Oh yeah, I got
love
mine.
it.
Oh, I gave my copy to Weiss.
Oh, nice.
Oh, wait, can I have one?
Absolutely. I'll give you another copy as well.
Hell yeah.
There's there we go.
Are we having a shit on the DOJ sesh?
No. I honestly, we're talking about future
I'm always
and
shitting
building.
on the DOJ. What do you mean? I'll send you that recording though, Nino. It'll be a funny one.
Yeah, I love to hear it, to be honest. I think a lot of people want. There are very few criminal elements that are averse to seeing the law deal with criminal acts. It's surprising, actually, right? They're willing to go in. They're willing to work with us. They get it, right?
Yeah, because you look at what we have right now, and like we've been harping on, like these fines are insane. It really is right. It is breaching the borderline of cruel and unusual punishment. I mean, that's the whole basis of the thing: is what is cruel and unusual punishment? The punishment will fit the crime. And it's to a point where the crime, the punishment is so exceeding the crime. I mean, yeah, of course they're going to say, well, look, crime is, crime pays. They're getting punished for their crimes. They're suffering from it. Yeah. If we also make the death penalty the punishment for speeding, nobody's going to speed in this fucking town ever again.
Yeah, very true.
But it's cruel and unusual.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I don't know. This is going to sound like a bit of a curveball, possibly. I would very much recommend having a chat with Jay Hobbs and his full experience. Now, I'll give you. I'm afraid of tainting it too much, right? I'm always a big proponent of better for you to hear from the individual directly, so
yeah,
the opinion's not tainted. But it's worth asking him what led up to the raid of his friend's property and what happened to his friends. And I think you're gonna be shocked. And also ask him what happened to him in the cells and was evidence. I mean, I'll just tell you this. Jay's a criminal. He's actually perfectly fine getting pummeled into the ground with fines and times. In fact,
a real bottom.
Yes. When I brought up, because I've been trying to get different people's sense of how egregious these fines are before, kicking into things. And he's willing to take he's like, oh, I did it, whatever. My friends don't wake up anymore because of it, but, he's willing to take it. Very cheery given the circumstances.
Yeah.
Allegedly, that raid may have been malicious prosecution. But more egregiously, he apparently got shot and tased in the cells. And before medical arrived or anyone came down, the officers cleaned up all the evidence of any wrongdoing.
It's not the first time I've heard that shit. I've actually collected evidence before from trash cans of taser cartridges and shit like that.
What?
And ran them. And every time you pick up every time we pick up evidence, they're instantly geotagged. Like when you take a evidence bag and you pop it open and you throw evidence in there, there's an instant geotag marker on there, and an evidence tech comes out there and marks exactly where it was at, right? And I've gone to Mission Row, like it's a regular thing. We now go to Mission Row all the time and clear out their trash bins of evidence and things like that, and run them and see what they come from. And I have found taser cartridges and shit like that, taser cartridge, blood and shit like that from the cells of Mission Row PD and Blaine County Sheriff's Office and shit before. It's one of the reasons why we sweep their trash bins all the time. I found hot guns that came back to like dozens of attempted murder government employee before. We found like, just literally hot guns. Yes, we find shit in their trash lockers all the time.
Okay, so they're throwing away shit that may come back to a unsolved murder.
Yeah, instead of just throwing it into, like, literally just generate a report, throw it in the evidence locker. But no, they toss it instead in the trash and hope it permanently gets disappeared in an incinerator. We have like 3 open cases over stuff just from that. Like Abigail finds this shit all the time. Our night shift marshal, she finds shit so much. She writes so many fucking reports of shit she finds in like trash cans and shit like that.
My mind is blown.
No, when I tell you the PD's in a shit show, like when I tell you the marshals are super busy, like people really don't understand how busy the marshals are, like how much shit we deal with. I'll show you an example. All right, this is. Give me 1 second here. Obviously, I have to blur this for operation security, right? This is one section of our case board of active cases currently in progress. I just texted it to you.
Oh my God.
Obviously, I have to blur it because
no, of course.
It's the titles and report numbers of everything that's going on. Those are all the active cases involving just government employees right now that have probable cause to continue.
Little does he realize that the Gaussian blur can be reversed.
That's not including all the suspicious activity crimes, the external criminal cases, the joint task force that we have set up, and the monitoring situations we have.
I'm not going to actually do that, by the way, chat. Oh, man. There's that saying, it's good to be busy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I wish we had more marshals to help us out with this caseload. Peter's here is probably like a third of our fucking case on our main case board right now, if not more.
Holy shit.
Let's see, Dark, LSPD, Lee Peters, Dark, Barrett, Hughes, Gunner, Peters, Barrett, Flores, Gunner, Hughes, Gunner, Lee.
Wow. Wow.
And Hughes, Barrett, Cortez, Barrett. Yeah, that's pretty much all of our cases right now.
This is kind of it makes me it's reminding me of how much shit we got on our plate legislatively. Something I wanted to bring up, so it's kind of sort of in your purview. Apparently a shitload of FIB documents may have been found in a raid with Flippy, Juan Carlos Hernandez.
Yeah, and Flippy, 34 documents, that poor guy.
Yes.
Guess he didn't realize they were illegal.
Well, are they though? Given the ruling,
illegal, like fucking.
Yeah, but given the ruling, one may argue that given the defense attorney is gonna, I think, can point at the ruling by the state officials and deem it possibly unacted, right? So they'll make for it'd be an interesting thing. Now, But with that said, and the reason I bring it to your attention is, this is speculation, right? Because nothing is documented right now. Is that I am sort of, is it called blue skying when you're live thinking about how something can be solved? Is that what it's called? Is it blue skying?
No, I think blue sky is that replacement for Quater.
Oh yeah, that too. Well, either way,
Just doesn't have the ring that twatting does.
I'm just brainstorming, right? Is we have Marshall classified documents, and I think the fine and time actually makes sense. And it being stalkable makes sense. If, say, someone held you up right now, you had 5 of these classified documents, let's say, on 5 different matters, right? You should get hit with each one because they're both individually damaging to society, right?
Right.
Without going too much into the nuance of the methodology we're looking to create, we're actually saying, let's go back to the Constitution. Let's see what the rights are. Let's see how each one affects shit. Like, I would say those classified documents are like a 9 out of 10 in public safety. So they should carry a high fine and time, right? And each individual one has a different damage, right?
Again, more things that I proposed, like back in fucking January.
Yes. I believe it. I believe it.
When I started the fucking investigation of the stupid FIB documents.
And so, with that having been said, one area that was missed is that probably the verbiage should be more about every unique classified, right? So, in other words, like having 20 classified documents on one subject is different than having 20 unique documents, right?
Yeah, I could argue, especially with the FIB document thing, he had 34 of them. But we know there are 8 classified FIB documents. And
I did not know that.
It should be... we did like a 3-month-long investigation on those stupid fucking things.
So I would love to understand it more. More not like for the... and how you present it or whatever, like, you know, the depth. Not... What I would want to learn about it is like that there's 8, right? Or what is the danger level? Right? Like those sort of things. And the reason is because...
Critically high.
Oh, really?
The investigation of the FIB documents dates back to the first time the governor came in to speak to us.
What?
Do you remember... You may not have heard it. And when we were leaving, the governor pulled Dark and I aside and asked us, hey, you know the old FIB building that's on Power Street?
Yeah.
Has anybody gotten past that security door? And we're like, no, not to where we're understood. He goes, good, because that would be very, very bad. And then walked away. And then we started collecting these FIB documents because FIB, whenever FIB was closed down locally, they took a bunch of their documents and they, Polito, speaking of Polito Bank, it's getting robbed right now. The Polito Bank struggled in making ends meet, being way out there, away from everything else. You know, Maze Bank was getting all the financial duties. Being downtown and the hustle and bustle of everything, Maze Bank was absolutely destroying them, and Polito couldn't make do. Well, instead of housing all money for investment reasons, they decided to take an alternative route where they're housing, like their big key thing is their what is it? The term is blanking on me now. The lock boxes that they have, the little private lock boxes
safety deposit.
Yeah, safety deposit boxes. Their big thing is safety deposit boxes. That's how they make a good chunk of their money right now, is the residuals from safety deposit boxes, and then building trust with their fiduciary contracts to make them invest money into their bank. Well, when the FIB needed to close out and haul out stuff, there was some documents they wanted to leave locally that instead of hauling them outwards, and it was physical documents, and they deposited them in the Polito Bank. And so through a month-long investigation, we started finding these FIB documents, and we slowly tied them back to the Polito Bank. And there was like a whole month where I'm sure you could ask anyone who was robbing a Polito bank. There was like a weird month where every time they robbed the Polito bank, marshals showed up. And it was because we were monitoring the Polito bank's robbery situation to confirm that. And that's when we were able to collect information from those to detail out 8 specific ones, each with unique identifiers on them, to confirm them. They have like a code at the bottom of them. It's like an encryption code that has their validity as a actual document from the original source. I can't go into much more detail about obviously I can't tell you about what's in them because it's a classified document.
Yeah, of course.
But it is related to the FIB situation.
Okay, that's really good to know, and that's kind of what I was getting at is we need a means by which to. Okay.
Yeah, there was a whole policy change because there was a whole thing where the marshals had to go to PD and were like, "Hey, you fucking idiots! Whenever you seize FIB documents, stop taking photographs of the document and putting it in evidence, and then allowing the fucking criminals to FOIA that thing because it's a classified document. Why are you taking it? They were taking photocopies of the documents.
Dumb, brother.
they were taking photocopies of the documents, putting it in evidence, and then releasing them in FOIAs. I was like, are you guys fucking stupid? Why are you doing this?
Oh my god. Could you imagine they put it on the docket?
Yeah, honestly, we were about that point. Because there was
next on Channel 5 News, San Andreas locks up both its local law enforcement agencies. Why? While attempting to press charges of espionage, charges were pressed on them. Back to you, Chili.
This whole thing, like we started. I'm looking at the reports. Like it's December 20th is when we had the first, the first looks of some of these documents, and we started collecting them, and then we started having people trying to breach the FIB building. There was all kinds of crazy shit with that. But that's where that. I think though that you're right that it should be because there was only 8 different. He just had a bunch of photocopies of the same one. That it should be 8 times possession, not 34 times possession, because it's the same document over and over again.
Right. Yeah. Individually, very damning, but okay. This is good, and you answer my question, right? Because for me, what is an FIB document? And there's other verbiage that I believe may be necessary, specifically authentication. Now, authenticated, and I say that in that, I was told by Princess that she found a FIB document, one about like something to do with like Saddam Hussein, and like someone hiding in his bunker, and now he's in San Andreas, and then another one, and notwithstanding, I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's authentic. It sounds fake, right? So there needs to be a manner by which there is an authentication process, or even if it's bare minimum, right?
Yeah, I'll tell you with FIB documents, there is an authentication process built into the document. Obviously, I know how to do it.
It's probably a seal or something.
That.
Sure.
No, it has to do with the way the document is printed, and there's a code on them, and you use that code comparing to another part of the document, and there's a way to basically validate the contents of it based on that. It's kind of like a hash code, but much shorter.
Understood. Okay.
But yeah, there needs to be. I mean, that was something I fought whenever I was. So whenever the Department of Justice created all these, did that whole revamp of all the things. That was one part I had a hand in, and that was the FIB documents, classified documents charge. And I presented like this mountain of fucking reports about all this shit we'd been doing on the FIB thing. But I wanted to expand it. What they put in was a very infantile version of the charge for it, because I was like, we're really lacking legislative backing on a lot of this, because it really needs to be like legislation identifying who has access to these things. Like, how do you classify a classified document? What is the process to classify them? Who has access to them? How do you give somebody authority to access a classified document? there's a whole process that should be in play of there. And I wanted to have at least 3 levels of classifications, and being like, the mayor of a city should automatically be granted a level of classified authority because of their position. I
think, you know what, as a part of this, because this is going to be a big exercise with the penal code, and a big part of it is like, before we even cook, I told Michael that I wanted the methodology documented on the cover letter, and that methodology will form for like help for the future, right? And it's good to have a common methodology, even iterate on that methodology over time. And it's going to be phased, but one of those phases is notating whether something needs to be a new piece of legislation, for example, like this FIB document stuff. And I think maybe we need a piece of legislation jointly worked on, where we go into those details, like a thing about classified documentation, what it is, how do you categorize it, and all that kind of stuff. I think it'd be really good. Yeah.
This could be such a shitty thing, but I would. With his
you already
raid,
did something?
The 30. Well, no, with his raid, the 34 documents. I was thinking, they're all we can tie them back to each one of those. We can basically conclude he kept them as a trophy from a successful Polito Bay.
If I'm reading between the lines, it sounds like you can tie each one to a separate robbery that occurred.
Yeah. So 34 times.
Oh my God!
Or accessory.
Oh my.
Well,
to be fair, statute of limitation too, right?
Delayed exception rule of evidence.
Oh my God! Yeah.
That would be a lot harsher.
It would. It would.
$1,000. I'm not going to go that route.
No.
That's something that could theoretically be articulated. Not that I'm going to encourage PD to do that. Because
No, I don't think any of them are smart enough to figure that out.
I was just gonna say the guys who are taking photos of classified documents. Holy fucking shit! Wait, what the fuck is this? Romello Porta twins. Oh, and they wanted me to go and fucking. What the fuck? They wanted me to go to this guy and report my issue with Romello.
Jesus
Christ. What did you go to the sheriff?
No, I got done telling Barrett about an experience I had that was rather egregious, and I was told to speak to Romello, and I said no. And instead of, looking into the complaint, they turned it into, why do I not trust Romello? Like, as if that is like a, I don't know. I don't know how I can't even begin to understand that. Right.
BCSO literally can't handle complaints against their own people.
No. But it's
every time I see a complaint, they write it up and they basically defend themselves immediately with, you should just dismiss this complaint. It is ridiculous. Every time. Every single time I see a complaint pop up.
You would think it would result in some sort of like minimal mediation, just like fucking talking through. It's not going to happen again. That's all most people, 90% of people just want someone to be like, hey, I know that happened. My bad. Whatever. You know what I mean? We're going to try not to do that in the future. That's it. Literally, like, open and shut. That's what most people want. They don't want to go to court. They don't want to go to civil court. But it's like, I genuinely, I don't know. Like, I use this example. If someone came to me and was like, hey, I want a business, set up a business thing, whatever. I'm like, hey, yeah, talk to Junior Huntley, right? He helps handle those things. And they were like, we have a problem with Junior. I'd be like, oh, why? What's up? And it's like, hey, I don't really fuck with him. Like, we've had issues in the past. I don't, but all right, fine. Yeah, just send it my way. That's it. That's all. Like, it's fine. It's done. It's anyways.
Oh man. Yeah, I'm losing faith in a lot of the BD.
Well, there's other ways to solve it, Barrett. And in this particular case, my reaction is not going to be civil lawsuit, whatever. I'm going to talk to a marshal like I did. I know you guys are going to cook as you deem appropriate. But at the same time, Quangle is bringing California traffic stop law to San Andreas in about a week's time. So it will be a legal requirement to state your name, badge number, and the reason for the stop before asking any questions. And what that does is, it is a handshake, right? I'm curious. What are your thoughts on that?
Sorry, run that through one more time. The process that you're having in mind.
Well, I decided that because they can't, don't know accountability to themselves, I was going to inform a marshal. I trust y'all to do whatever needs to be done, right? I don't suspect you're going to be like, oh, we're going to throw this in the trash or whatever, right? If something happens, it happens. It doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I'm satisfied.
No, the traffic process that you had in mind.
Oh, yes. I want to bring, so because they can't, because there's this issue affecting civilians, I'm going to bring California traffic law to San Andreas. Not the entire thing, but specifically the clause that was passed in, I think, the bill that was passed in 2024, in which law enforcement must state their name, the badge number, and the reason for a stop prior to questioning. So,
oh, so you mean basically how I conduct traffic stops?
Yes. Yeah. So what was I feel like this is a great way to solve some of these things, right? Bake in the accountability, right?
Yeah. As long as you just the verbiage is going to have to be very unique in that one. So it is my personal opinion. You may disagree with this.
Yeah.
That on a traffic stop initiation, the very first thing is to identify who you're coordinating with, like who you're documenting. Once you've seized that person, the primary objective is to identify the driver, the primary actor. So that's why I usually, like, whenever I pull you over, I'm usually hopped out of the car immediately, right? Like, I don't know if you ever see, like, I never do the.
I would love for you to cook. I'd love for you to cook on
down.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. You every time I pulled you over, right? You never hear me do the engine off, windows down thing, right? As soon as I come to a stop, I'm out of the car and I'm walking up because I'm trying to make that contact, get eyes on, and usually, if like rushing things like that prevents people from making impromptu decisions. It basically engages them immediately into the stop, right? And it's a safety thing. And I go up and I identify myself. Hey, Field Director Marshal Craig Barrett, 38. Here's my badge. Can I get your identification? Or I need to see your identification. That's the very first thing that comes out. And if they argue, hey, what's the reason for the stop? I'll get to that the moment I get your ID in hand. I promise I'll tell you all about it. Given the ID, cool. And then the very next thing needs to be, before anything else happens, it's the explanation for the stop. And once I get that identity, once I identify who I am, I identify who they are, let's engage in conversation now. Here's why I'm stopping you. Then I go on with it. But you need to know that immediately right off the bat. But I just need to know that identity first. Because what will happen is you go up there and you're like, hey, Marshal Barrett, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Let me see your ID.
I think that's reasonable, to be honest.
What'd you stop me for? Well, we'll get to this soon. No, you have to tell me why you stopped. It's by the law. You have to tell me why. I stopped you for speeding. I wasn't speeding. I wasn't speeding. I'm not going to give you my identity now. I wasn't speeding. You call somebody else. I still need your identity. You were required to identify.
agree with that. That is well within reason. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but the moment identity is acquired and the foundation of it, hey, this is me, you are you. Now I need to tell you why I have you detained.
That is, I think, yeah, that's good. I think that what I'm sort of like underlining here is the people have a means by which to ensure a level of confidence against, let's just call it against corruption, right? And I think little things like that can resolve things. We can talk all day and just defense mechanisms, this and that. No, we'll just bake it in. Nice little simple handshakes, right? And
yeah, because there has been a few instances where officers have refused to identify themselves.
Ooh, that's a big no for me.
Yeah. When asked for their badge number.
Oh my God.
So, yeah. So I think I'm with Barrett. I'm with you, Marin. I think that is something that does need to be cooked into legislation, because if they're not going to enforce that in their SOPs, which they should be, then it needs to be legislated, and they can cry about it all they want.
Yep,
But
1,000%. Yeah,
they need to be held accountable, and the public needs to have more confidence that they're going to be able to do their job.
and that's the big thing, right? If the public does not trust the police, it leads to, you know, uprisings, violence, just more violence, quite frankly, right? It just, yeah.
It leads to July 3rd.
It leads to July 3rd. Well, July 3rd this year is going to end on a legislative note. You know what I mean? And
what do you mean?
Well, I mean,
July
like
3rd also ended on a legislative note.
No,
we got a whole new
and
constitution. What are you telling me, Nino?
Well, what I'm saying is we're going to
Do
build
I
up.
need to rearrange the tank?
No, I mean it's going to build up. You know? That's what I mean. Yeah. Anyways. All right. Gentlemen, I got to get the cooking. I got to campaign to win, you know what I mean? So,
yeah.
Hopefully
win the campaign, establish a code of law. Let's do this thing. All the ideas I've been pushing for 3 months. I'm glad you guys are finally coming around.
No, listen. No. We came around a while ago. I mean, listen, you see how much fucking shit we got to deal with just to move something forward. You know what I mean? It's been it's been a process, but I think that gate is finally open. So nonstop. I am not letting off the gas. So
I don't think the gate's not open. It's just we're told you can walk through it. I think that's what people have been waiting for.
Hell yeah. Y'all stay safe.
There you go. Back to the marshal office.
Yeah.
All right. Got to get through these. Hold on. Before we do, and things are about to get spicy. Ladies and gentlemen,